Hello Stampers, this is Heather Cooper of Playing with Paper Crafting. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Crafty Clues by Heather, short video tutorials on stamping techniques and tools. As I mentioned in my last blog, I wanted to show you how to create this beautiful paper flower, paper rose, that was on the shabby chic card that I made. And it's really very easy. You know, you can go out and purchase those paper roses, but really, why bother when you can make them yourself? And you can do that with the help of Stampin' Up's Fancy Flower Punch, which has just come back and you're able to purchase it now. And it's the perfect tool to make some of these. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to start with a piece of Pool Party cardstock, and you can leave it as is. You can make a perfectly lovely flower with just the plain paper, but I wanted to add a little texture, so I'm going to emboss it using the Elegant Lines embossing folder by Stampin' Up, and I'm just going to put the card in the folder, and I want to show you how to set up the sandwich for the Big Shot so that you get it embossed to the right depth. Normally you would open it to tab 1 when you're using the embossing folder, but I'm going to open both tabs up because I don't want it to be too deep, otherwise it may crack when I manipulate it. So I'm going to put down a cutting pad, and I'm going to put down the embossing folder with the paper inside sideways so it doesn't it helps the hinge to last longer when you're able to do that. I know some of the new embossing folders are too wide to do that. Okay, so then I'm going to take this now over to the Big Shot and emboss it. Okay, I've run that through the Big Shot, and here's the embossed lines showing here. And now what I'm going to do is use the Fancy Flower Punch, and I'm going to turn it so that I can see what I'm cutting out. And I'm going to cut out 3 punches from this paper. The first one I'm going to do, I want to leave quite a bit of embossed space. So I'm going to punch it out about there. And the reason for this you'll see in a bit. And then I'm going to do a fully embossed piece. So I'm going to look at this area here, punch that out. And finally, I need another part that has a little bit that's not embossed again. So I'll punch it out there. Okay. And we'll put the punch aside. And so now what I'm going to do before I begin to make the flower, I'm going to do a little bit of sponging for that shabby chic look. So I'm using the soft suede ink and a little wedge of the stamping sponge. And I'm just going to sponge over the piece like this, and the sponging, the ink brings up all those embossed lines, and just get the edges a little bit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to begin to do a little bit of cutting, and I'm going to start with this piece that has just a little bit of clear space there that's unembossed, and I'm going to clip out one of the petals in a sort of triangular form right to the middle of the piece, the circle there. So that gives me 4 petals and 1 petal. I'm going to take the other one that has a good size clear bit left, and I'm going to cut out 2 petals like that. So that gives me 2 petals and 3 petals. And the one that's fully embossed, I'm going to just cut right to the middle, make 1 cut to the middle, and you'll see why in a minute or so. For this next part, we're going to need this small diameter wooden skewer like you'd use for a barbecue, and our bone folder. And so what I'm going to do here is just give the single petal here, I'm going to give it a little bit of a workout with the bone folder just to soften up the fibers and make it easier to wind around the skewer. And I'm going to just roll it around the stick here. And if you can get it sort of a little bit more at an angle, it works a little bit better. So I'm just going to try rolling that a little bit better there. A little bit of hot glue, and we're going to use hot glue today just because of the strength of it, and it will keep your flower together and it won't be coming apart on you. Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit of hot glue and squeezing it together and removing it from the skewer. Okay, and then I'm going to work this top part a little bit, just mushing it, squishing it down a wee bit, just to give it that rose curl to it. Sorry, hope you can see that. And it'll be far too long. We won't need all that, so I'm going to just cut off the excess. And we may have to adjust that a little bit more later. Then I'm going to pick up the 2-petal section, and again I'm going to curl. Oh, there's those strings of hot glue. Anybody figured out how to deal with those yet? And again, just curling them around a little bit to give the fibers a little chance to soften up and do a little bit of curling. So now I'm going to roll this too around, winding the bottom a little bit more so that I can glue that part together. And I'm just going to add some hot glue to one of the sides here. And attach that. This is the cooler hot glue, so if you do get it on your fingers, it's not going to burn you to death. Okay, so there's the second part, and again we'll probably trim the excess off the bottom of that because we won't need it all. Okay, there we go. Okay, now that brings us to the 3-petal section. So I'm going to, with the embossing part up, I'm going to fold those back a little bit, and again just give it a little bit of a workout with the bone folder so that it will easily bend. This one's a little hard, but what we're going to do is apply some hot glue right along one of the petals there, and then just fold it over on top of it like that, and just work it a little bit, play with those petals to turn them. There we go. Okay. So we're going to start by adding some hot glue right to the middle of the 5-petal part, and we take the 4-petal one and we're going to add it and just turn the petals till you get it a little bit on an angle. You don't want it symmetrical. You want to avoid that symmetry because it doesn't happen very often in nature. If you look out your window at any point, you'll notice that. And then we're going to take some more hot glue and put it in the middle of the 4-petal piece and add our 3-petal piece. And you can see it's looking like a rose already. And then we're going to take some more hot glue, put it in the middle, and at this point you might want to check to see if your 2-petal piece is going to be the right size. It's a bit big, so I'm going to, probably would be better to do that before you put the hot glue in. So there we go. So we add that to the middle, just play with the petals a little bit. And then finally we're going to add this 1-petal, or the 1-petal piece, so I'll stick it in there and just see how it fits. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is just add some hot glue to the end of that and stick it right in there. And then you need to do some major de-stringing to get all those little bits of hot glue thread off. And there you have your rows. You can make them in different sizes by using different diameter circles and putting 5 circles together around and cutting out, making a template that way. But it's just so nice to have a punch that does that for you. It's so much quicker. So there you have how to make a beautiful shabby chic rose to add to your creations, to cards such as this. And please drop by my blog, Playing with Paper Crafting, for more card making samples and tips.